Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of beamer or necklace or freedom. Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of beamer or necklace or freedom. Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of beamer or necklace or freedom. Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of beamer or necklace or freedom. Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of beamer or necklace or freedom. Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. Of beamer or necklace or freedom. Lexus or justice, or dream or some substance. A beamer or necklace or freedom.
All right. Welcome, family, welcome. It's kind of loud up here in the Shisha Lounge, but y'all know I'm bringing it here to bring some attention to a place that I like to kind of gather and have good conversations. We're going to get into the stories. We got plenty of things to talk about today. The lines will be open at 9:15. Number is 614-556-4535. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Y'all here. It's going down here at the Shisha. Y'all can look behind me. The traffic is flowing. We at the Shisha Lounge at 2369 North High Street. And I got to let you know you are now listening to Gye-Nyame Journey Radio. This is Folktales for grown folks. I got my hookah. I'm ready to get the chat on. Let's get it. And of course, you know this is a Heart of a Simba production. Where we strive to blow away your old paradigm. Family, I want to welcome each and every last one of you. Like I said, forget the noise. You know, it's that Coochie Chagalia night up here at the Seashore. It's hot as hell in September. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what's going on with the world. You know, we could talk about, we could talk a little bit about Puerto Rico. We could talk a little bit about healthcare. We could talk a little bit about what's going on with the NFL at this point in time. You know what I'm saying? But most importantly, we are definitely going to hit on the folk tale for the night, which is entitled The Cobbler Turned Doctor. Right? I have to stress each time I do the show that our ancestors, man, left us crystallized wisdom. All we have to do is be willing to roll up our sleeves. Roll up our sleeves. And do the mining. Do that wisdom mining. Get busy. Get that wisdom. And then the next step, which a lot of times we get stuck because we love the symbols, right? We love the symbols. We love the ideas. But after we get in and we start digging it up, family, the next thing we got to do is start putting things in action. Putting the wisdom of our ancestors in action. Because the answers is already out here for us. So now, first off, I wanted to hit on Puerto Rico, right? Puerto Rico has been totally devastated by this hurricane, and if you are able to send help, you know what I'm saying, do it by the best way that you know how. You know what I'm saying? It's important to realize, because this, for me, is scary. One, because I got children. When I was younger, this type of stuff really didn't bother me, even though it wasn't happening as much as it's happening today. Because in Puerto Rico, what you are seeing, rather than Puerto Rico being the center of discussion, we have the Great Pumpkin and his Twitter fingers being the center of discussion. And our focus is being diverted from what is important to other things. Now, I'm not saying that what's going on in the NFL is not important, but this is the issue that all of us here in this discussion, most of us in this discussion, because actually this is a discussion that can be taken all over the world, family. But those are American citizens over there. They're sitting over there without water. They're sitting over there without food. They're sitting over there without aid being brought to them almost immediately after the storm went past. We're about 6 days out, and they still have not unleashed the so-called power that America has. See, this is one of the beautiful things about nature. This is one of the beautiful things about our Creator, because it often demonstrates to us with no uncertain terms how much power or how powerless we really are when it comes to nature. Nature could come through and rip shit up, and we will not be able to even deal with it. Now, but what scares me the most is we got American citizens over here. You know what I'm saying? What type of thing could happen in your city? Like this, and there be no immediate response. There be no water coming to you and your children. Oh, I mean, but I'm very serious. The Great Pumpkin, because he's orange, right? You know what I'm saying? He's orange. The Great Pumpkin. Those of us that grew up on Charlie Brown, we know that Great Pumpkin season is coming. The Great Pumpkin, right? And the piece that we have to be willing to deal with is his way of diverting attention. I mean, y'all call him what you want, but he's brilliant at that shit, because getting everybody focused on his rants, it keeps everybody away from asking some critical questions. And I want to talk about the NFL too before we get into this folktale, because this folktale is going to bring a lot of stuff out. Family, because I want you to think about this. Your fellow Americans are sitting over in Puerto Rico right now, hungry. One of them may have a child that may look like one of your nieces or nephews, or one of your sons and daughters, sitting there, possibly dying from thirst. And these are American citizens, the most powerful country in the world. The country that says to a North Korea, you don't have the right to build a nuclear arsenal, and if you do, we will totally obliterate you. We have great power. These are the words that's coming from the Great Pumpkin. These are the words that's coming from our president, from the leader of our nation, telling another country what he will do to them, but yet and still is not extending the full force of the power that he is willing to unleash with destructive force on the enemy. We will win more hearts as an American country if we was to handle home. If the military would have went directly out and started clearing out the roads and making it possible for people to get to where they needed to be in Puerto Rico, getting water in people's hands, making it available. You know, and I know a lot of people say it takes time, but 6 days? 6 days when we have the most powerful military, when we are the richest country in the world, we got American citizens in an American territory suffering at the level that they are suffering. Now, I understand some suffering is going to come. Some suffering will be unavoidable. But 6 days? 6 days. Family, how long did it take us to bomb Iraq in the First War? How long did it take us to bomb Iraq in the Second War? How long did it take us to bomb Afghanistan? Hell, let's go back and back. How long did it take for us to bomb Vietnam? When those same planes could be turned around and supplies packed on them and sent out and airdropped on American citizens that are in need. Brother Anubis, shouts out to you. Shouts out to Sister Tara Hassan. Shouts out to Nicole Pittman. Brother Anubis says it only takes time for people who have not worked in logistics and they really have no knowledge of what they speak of. Six days. The most powerful country in the world. 6 days. A country is a country we could do better. And we're focusing on other things because I understand, because don't get me wrong, what's going on with the NFL is important too, because that's also setting a standard for how other people look at this country. America wants to be the shining light upon the hill. America wants to be what everybody else is striving to be like. But America is not handling this business at home. You know what I'm saying? You ever been over somebody's house where you go in the house and everything looks perfect? You drive around the house, the lawn is perfectly manicured and all this shit. And when you go inside the house, you find out that there's alcoholic problems, there's drug problems, there's molestation going on in the house and shit like that. That's like America. It looks good on the outside, but everybody in the world is looking and focusing here right now. We have we got more than that, but we got two major issues that arose. Number one is Puerto Rico. And our president did one tweet about that shit. Maybe, I could be wrong, I don't follow him, but I only heard maybe one tweet where he talked about shit is being handled. But how many tweets he done posted about individuals taking a knee at a game? Now, I want a lot of y'all to go back and look back in time, because there was a time where the football players didn't even hit the damn field until after the national anthem was played. So what Colin Kaepernick actually did was not even new. But that gets back to the fact of the matter that being black, partially black or whatever, how some of y'all may disagree with that and be upset about that. But the thing that it's showing you is that it never became an issue until those of us who are black in America decided to take a stand on it, decided to use it as a way to send a message to millions and millions of people that are spending thousands of dollars a year to follow black men dying and crushing themselves. Sit down and enjoy the gladiator games. Family. Some of us on our timeline is like, I don't give a damn about somebody taking a knee. My team lost. And still, we have to go back to Puerto Rico. We got to reflect on Puerto Rico. We need to be sending those positive energies. We need to be toasting up and getting the ancestors working, because our ancestors can work instantly, right? But they only open the way for us. It requires us to do the rest. All right, now another piece that's up is for those of you that's in Ohio. There's an article that I posted up on my timeline that is entitled this, and then we'll get to the folktales. It says, "Why do poor black kids continue to do worse on Ohio's standardized test?" I go so many damn directions on this shit here. Why do poor black kids continue to do worse on Ohio's standardized test? This is in the Columbus Dispatch. It was published yesterday. So now one of the pieces in there that I picked up on, I'm gonna go through a little bit of it, and then we're gonna get once again back into the folktale. They say, if you really look at what we've done for the last 20 years, this is the experts talking about the test. The focus has been on testing, with very little focus on putting something in place to change the test. Right? To change the test. Right? Because in America, you got to always be able to measure things, and a lot of us, we believe that you got to be able to measure things, especially if we put money out. All of us want to know exactly what we're paying for, right? So the school systems are not preparing our children to pass a standardized test. But the problem with the standardized test is that life is not standardized. So you can have a child that does well on the standardized test, but get out in life and cannot cope, cannot deal with life, because life, as a lot of you adults out there understand, life is not standardized. All right? Now, let's go and look at let's look at some of these numbers. So, however, here's another quote. However, people shouldn't conclude that the data shows that low-income students can't learn, said Howard Fleeter, analysis for the Policy Institute. That's not what we're showing. What we're showing is they're not learning. Now, part of learning, a lot of us got to get. Parents, we got to get this. The reason our kids and other poor children are not learning is because the education that they are receiving is not relevant to their existence. Relevance brings about rigor. Children being able to look at what they're learning and almost immediately connect it to their lives is why our children are not learning, because a lot of shit that they are learning in the schools today, they cannot apply it to their lives. So it takes a back seat to all the other issues that our children are dealing with. Now, all of our children are not struggling necessarily dealing with poverty, but I'm going to read you some numbers on here real quick as far as black kids, right? But our children are not dealing with that. A lot of them are trying to figure out, how do I fit in? Where do I fit? We don't have classes to help individuals start learning to teach our young people how to deal with their emotions, to deal with who they are, to discover more deeply who they are. We have schools that are dedicated to passing the standardized test. And if you do not pass the standardized test, I don't give a damn how much you helping a child. I don't give a damn how many kids you keeping off the street. I don't give a damn how many lives you save. I don't care how many families you preserve. Your doors will close. You could be doing great, fantastic, magnificent work. But if your children cannot pass the standardized test that is given to them in their unstandardized lives. Now, family, I don't have the solution. I don't have the solution. I don't know what we need to do. But it is clear that something else needs to happen, especially for our children. Let's go down to these numbers. So they go through the data, and in the data, they talk about a comparison of poor kids to higher income kids, right? Blah, blah, blah. They go through all that. But then, as they move past the poverty piece, right, they start talking about other things other than low income. All right. Somebody by the name of Fleeter says, evidence to believe that, in fact, it is possible to help low-income students achieve success, and a possibility exists to bust any correlation that might exist. Fleeter agrees that few low-income schools perform well, but there's not enough of them. It's going to take more resources to fight these problems. Fleeter said, there are people who say we can't just give districts more money to spend in the same way that we have. I'm inclined to agree. We need to figure out how to spend it to make a difference. And the difference that needs to be made is not in the test-taking techniques. It's in these children's lives. It's in educating educators on how to be able to develop the relationships that are the foundation of learning. If there's not a relationship between the teacher and the student, it's kind of hard for some learning to take place, especially today. All right, so let's go down. So now let me just give you a little bit of history here, right? These tests didn't become an issue until the top schools started failing. Now, our children have been struggling with the tests, and it seems that once the institution that they are in master the test, and they are able to start producing the children that can pass the tests change. See, that goes back to power. That goes back to politics, family. Who set these tests up? Who are the individuals that laid this test down? And y'all got to understand that politics and laws work to protect the future of those that created it and those that are in power. How did I come about that, brother? How did you come up with that, brother Atim? I learned that from my ancestors. I learned that from looking at our experience. Right? Because we could put because really when it comes down to it, we could put all the laws on the books. But the bottom line is, if it does not meet the interest of the group that is in control, then the laws will not be enforced. So family, we have to move to a point in our history where we are taking the wheel of our lives and our children's lives. We can no longer let anybody else drive this bus because our children are falling through the cracks. Now let me go, because I want to get here, because at first, because the way they did this article is nice writing, because they start off and they lay out the problems with schools that are in poverty and schools that are not in poverty. They show the difference between them, but then this is where we start meeting the change, and they start talking about us. So let me go. Here we go. According to the data, Gye-Nyame presented to the State Board of Education, when excluding those with disabilities, listen to this, black students overall performed worse than every other demographic group on math and English. Now listen, that includes scoring lower on English tests than did students from whom English is a second language. I have to scratch my head on that. I need you to understand what they're saying is that our kids are scoring so low that our scores in English are lower on average than students who speak English as a second language. Fleeter and others said it was stunning that 87% of Ohio black students are now classified as economically disadvantaged. Not 55%, not 45%, not 35%, but 87%. Family, we have been told, oh man, see, my sister Jack said we on the schooling again. We're going to stay on the schooling until we are able to get it to a point where we understand. And I just wonder, there was an article that popped up in the Columbus Dispatch Talk, and the title of the article, Jackie, is, so you can look it up for yourself. I want everybody to take some time to look at this because we got to be concerned. We got to be concerned about our children. The title of the article is, "Why do poor black kids continue to do worse on the standardized test?" You know what I'm saying? That's where we at.
Hi.
What's up, bro? Uh-oh, he hung up. That's how it goes on, Gye-Nyame. Sometime you're in, sometime you're out. All right, let's get it. So now, let's break out the folktale. Once again, I'm coming from Aesop Fables, and I bet you it brings us back around. Aesop Fables. This is translated by George Fowler Townsend. This book, specific one I got, is from a company called Forgotten Books. This book was very cheap. Look how thick it is. What Forgotten Books are, for those of you that are book readers and love reading books, they take old books that are out of publication and in the public domain, and they republish them and sell them to the public. So a lot of old books, a lot of old information is out there that we can get for damn near free if we are out there really looking for it. So now let's get into the folktale for the day. The folktale for the day is the Cobbler turned doctor. Now you're gonna be like, Brother Tim, why did you get into education? Let me take a hit of this real quick. I hope some of y'all paid attention and did your studies before you came, because this is gonna be a powerful discussion. It's going to be a powerful discussion. The call-in line is open, 614-556-4535. I tried to pin it up on top. It's on the timeline. Go down the timeline. Find it. Sister Jackie, I read it when it was on your page and commented. The article ran in the Columbus Dispatch. It's an age-old question that is very easily solved by culture and a system that does not support the cultures of the low income. We come from many tribes in America. See, and the problem is, it's so simple, right? It's so simple that if we was to stand up, we could solve this within a year. I'm not going to be one of those say by tomorrow, because we still got a lot of personal family business to do. You know what I'm saying? This goes back to us opening up schools and stuff on Saturdays and supplementing what our children are getting, and then also steering the country away from the standardized testing system and come up with another method of measuring where our children are. Because what we have to really start gearing our education system to do is to prepare our children for the future. Prepare our children for the future. That's what it's for. It's to socialize and to prepare our children for the future. Now, you have to really take into account, what is your future? Sister Jackie said, we need more black male teachers. Is someone telling black men that it isn't manly to be a teacher or something? Can we talk about that? What is the real core of why black men are becoming teachers? Now, one of the things that I'm seeing, because I am blessed to be in a place where there are a few male teachers, but a lot of males involved, black males involved with the school. Teaching is not that it's not manly, but we got to understand that, especially our generation, Jackie, and the generation after us, we were taught and told that a lot of us needed to go for the money. And we was taught to place money above what our communities needed. And we were taught to try to go outside of our community so that we can make a come up. A lot of us. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to get up out the hood. Rather than getting an education, coming back to the hood and bringing it back. Rather than being told culturally it's our responsibility to make sure that the next generation could go 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps farther than us. That's my personal belief. But then also the discipline issues that are in the school. A lot of these young people are running roughshod over a lot of individuals in the school, and it's kind of hard for a man to be there and to go through some of the bullshit that they have to go through in dealing with some of these young people, because some of these young people, and I often quote Dr. Janice Riley. She says you can't educate a child that has not been raised. You cannot educate a child that has not been raised. But let's get into the story, because I love talking with Jackie. My sister Jill Jackson is on here. She probably mad at me I didn't make the call. You know where my heart is. I'm ready to start making my donation, because I got to get my money and I got to get my ad and I got to go and get some more ads. Oh, by the way, family, Kwanzaa season is coming up. Those that want to assist with the Columbus Kwanzaa, because we're going to do it big this year. I'm be posting up the link so that you can make donations. You can make donations from all over the country. You know what I'm saying? So that we could blow up this Kwanzaa. I see more black men as principals than teachers, so it isn't like they are being closed out. No, they're not being closed out of the education piece. You know what I'm saying? The financial, see, it's hard. In our community, thinking men, on the most part, although most people will get on here and lie, thinking men are not valued by women. So it's kind of hard to hold a relationship, in many cases to even get a relationship, or even deeper, to even afford a relationship with a partner that don't understand why you're not making money like teachers used to make back in the day. A lot of teachers that I'm running into, I'm finding out that teachers are working 2. I ran into one that had 3 jobs. They're working during the summertime. They work a second job after they leave the school so that they could afford to live. Many individuals in the education arena have been priced out of teaching. There's other fields that are more lucrative. You know what I'm saying? And if this system is designed to keep us where we are, you don't want the best of our people in the schools. You want them working in fields that will directly benefit you. If you're a thinker and you're in school, you're teaching kids how to think. If kids are learning how to think, then they're going to go out and try to start their own corporations. They're going to go out and try to start their own businesses. You're going to build a community around the school that is going to be able to not only support that school, but it's going to start financially hurting other individuals that have been benefiting off of black failure, that has been benefiting off of black bodies going to jail, off of black bodies being destroyed, off of police officers being able to pull us over and give us tickets and shit for dumb shit. You're going to end that. So you don't want black men, educated, thinking black men, in those situations. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my opinion. But hold on. Let me read this, Jackie. Stop it. I know you're already typing. Stop it. Just for a second. The cobbler turned doctor. A cobbler, for those that don't know, a cobbler is somebody that makes shoes, because that's going to be important. All right? This has been brought to you by Gye-Nyame Journey, That Ambrosia by G&J, as well as the Shisha Lounge, which is at 2369 North High Street. I had to slide that in. All right. Here we go. Hold on. We in session. A cobbler turned doctor. A cobbler, unable to make a living by his trade, and made desperate by poverty, told you it was gonna hit home, began to practice medicine in a town in which he was not known. He sold a drug, pretending that it was an antidote to all poisons, and obtained a great name for himself by long-winded puffs and advertisements. When a cobbler happened to fall sick himself of a serious illness, the governor of the town determined to test his skill. For this purpose, he called for a cup, and while filling it with water, pretended to mix poison with the cobbler's antidote, commanding him to drink it on the promise of a reward. The cobbler, under the fear of death, confessed that he had no knowledge of medicine and was only made famous by the stupid clamor of the crowd. The governor then called a public assembly and addressed the citizens. Of what folly have you been guilty? You have not hesitated to entrust your heads to a man whom no one could employ to make even the shoes for their feet. I want y'all to know I'm about to tear this one. I'm about to tear it up. So if you got something you want to say, hit me up at 614-556-4535 and let's get it in. We talked about Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico fits in this story. We talked about education. Education fits in this story. We talked about the NFL for a couple of seconds and I kind of got off track. But the NFL fits into the story. Hell, the presidency fits into the story. Hell, social media fits into this 2,000-year-old story. I want y'all to understand, man, our ancestors wasn't fucking around. Y'all think these fables are not for kids. We're jumping right over them. We want to move to the super deep shit. We're going to move to the shit with the big words when we haven't been taking the time to break down the simple shit that our ancestors gave us. Because family, it's going to be the simple shit that saves us. It's going to be the simple shit that get us reparations. It's going to be the simple shit that get us to set up our own government so that we can have representation talking for us that is qualified, that has been chosen by the people and not by the enemy. Right now, we got cobblers acting as doctors, as our leaders. Right now, we got cobblers acting as presidents. Right now, we got cobblers acting as representatives of us. Right now, we got cobblers acting as teachers of our people, teaching fucking illusions and shit. Cure-all methods that take you everywhere but where we are. I got niggas having arguments with me about we being aliens and we not going through the captivity or what some people call slavery. I got individuals doing everything. I got cobblers wanting to come up and talk with me about history. And they come with history that they picked up little by little from, as my man here calls it, stupid clamor of the crowd. That's Twitter. In some cases, that's Facebook. The stupid clamor of the crowd. Now, let's go back to the beginning. But Sister Jackie said, dang, it's going down around here. I missed the story. Shoot, summary. All right, here we go. I'm going to read it one more time, then we get into it. Jackie, you need to call in. Sister Jill, you need to call in. Whoever else is on that line, you need to call in because people aren't calling in for what I have to say. They're calling in for what you have to say, and they're looking for the combined discussion between us, whether we agree or we disagree. One of our ideas is a seed that will be planted in somebody's head who might watch this 5 years from now. We're not doing this for this moment, in a sense. And I'm always in the moment. But the point is, I know that this right here is going to be something that somebody may listen to and may be waiting for your wisdom. So stop hiding your light under a bushel and get your ass on that phone, 614-556-4535, and share your wisdom. Share your wisdom. I'm going to read the story one more time. Shouts out to Elder Gray and his beautiful wife, Carolyn Arnold. I don't know which one it is, but both of them is on it. Shouts out to my brother Ernie Gardner. I see y'all coming in, stopping for a second. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for showing the love. A cobbler, for those that don't know, once again, is a shoemaker. And we're going to talk about the brilliance of the story. A cobbler, unable to make a living by his trade and made desperate by poverty, began to practice medicine in a town in which he was not known. He sold a drug, pretending that it was an antidote to all poisons, and obtained a great name for himself by long-winded puffs and advertisements. He got on Twitter, he got on Facebook, he got on YouTube. He's doing what I'm doing. God damn, I might be a cobbler. Shit. Wow. When the cobbler happened to fall sick himself of a serious illness, the governor of the town determined to test his skill. For this purpose, he called for a cup, and while filling it with water, pretended to mix poison with the cobbler's antidote, commanding him to drink it on the promise of a reward. The cobbler, under the fear of death, confessed that he had no knowledge of medicine and was only made famous by the stupid clamors of the crowd. The governor then called a public assembly and addressed the citizens. Of what, and this is what he said, of what folly have you been guilty? You have not hesitated to entrust your heads to a man whom no one could employ to make even the shoes for their feet. We got to get the lightning one more time. We got to get. Let's get a laugh for the cobblers. We're gonna get a laugh for the cobblers out here, right? You know. That's what I'm talking about. Get that laugh for the cobblers, family. Listen. So now let's go to the first part. The first part, y'all ready? Here we go. So we got a dude who makes shoes. And back then, shoemaking was a very important trade. All right? I mean, you know, because all trades have their place. And cobblers, in those days, you was usually born into the skill that you got. So you would become an apprentice to somebody in your family or somebody close to your family, and you would learn your trade. But this cobbler wasn't good enough to do what he was doing. And because of poverty, he was forced to come up with another hustle. Now, for some of us, this might sound familiar because many of us have been forced into other fields because of poverty. But this guy became something that takes years and years of study and dedication. He claimed he moved somewhere and put up his shingle and said, hey, I am a doctor and I have a magic potion that can heal all sickness. And through advertisements, he put it out there. Never taking it himself. Never taking his own medicine. This is where the term taking your own medicine. Take your own medicine. This is where it comes from. This builds up on the idea of skin in the game. And we have to talk about the whole concept of skin in the game with America, right? See, in ancient times, a laborer, a professional, was measured by his ability to deliver what he said he was going to deliver. You couldn't be a doctor and your family was sick. You couldn't be a doctor and you were sick. You couldn't be a doctor and be suffering from the same ailments that the people that you're trying to help were suffering from. You understand? You couldn't be a carpenter and people live in your house and it collapsed. Because the community was smaller, people would talk, you would not get any business. And on top of that, with your profession, you put your life on the line. So in some cultures, those individuals who made bridges, before people could actually be able to walk across those bridges, the individuals that built the bridge, the individuals that designed the bridge, would have to stay up under the bridge for a little while so that they could build the confidence of the people. You understand? You had to take your own medicine. You had to live in the house that you built. You had to walk upon the shoes that you was walking on. And if this cobbler wasn't good in this town, if he wasn't able to make money in this town, this means that the shoes that he was working on wasn't any good. This means he wasn't focused in his trade. This means he wasn't good at his trade. And he picked up a trade that required a lifetime of study to become a master of, and claimed that he was a master right away. Many of us know people like this. You know, we run into people that will pick up a book about black history and read that one book, and all of a sudden, they're America's top scholar. Ask them who they study under, they can't even tell you the author of the book that they quote. They become YouTube scholars. They get on and they listen to what people say on YouTube, and they don't do the background research. At one point in time in our community family, our leaders were other people. Our leaders lived with the people. Our leaders struggled with the people. So they understood the people, and they were sanctioned to speak for the people. Sister Jackie say, a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. And it can be. Just a little, you know what I'm saying? Just you got, and see, this is where the problem is. When an individual get a little bit of knowledge and think that they had a whole. And because they got that little bit, they believe that they could solve problems. So this cobbler moves to a different town where nobody knows him and says, hey, I'm a doctor. I have this antidote. Here we go, right here. I got this antidote. And he got with that age's, that time's Twitter. He got with that age's Facebook. And he started promoting himself. Not necessarily even promoting the medicine, but started promoting himself. Sister Jack said, not just leaders, but our civil servants, aka police officers, and teachers, lived in the community that they served. Somewhere along the line, we allowed that to be taken away from us. We allow for that. We allow for people to be able to come from the outside and police us. We allow for people to come from the outside and doctor us. We allow for people to come from outside and educate us because we believe that they could do it better. As a matter of fact, some of the leaders that helped push this through were cobblers. Shit, that's the new word. Fucking cobbler. He's a cobbler. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We look at some of these people talking, and I mean, look at some of the people that they just pull up at some of these round tables. They fucking cobblers. That is an initiative that some mayors are taking to bring back through the discount and tax breaks for civil service. See, because if you're gonna be receiving money from the city or wherever you are needs to have a trade deficit. Just like I've been talking about us as a black community, we don't have a trade deficit. So anybody can come into our community, take money out, you know what I'm saying, extract our money and take it out without having to pay any tariffs. So when an individual civil servant comes and, for example, works in Columbus, but lives in Bexley or lives outside of Columbus, his tax dollars, his money that the taxpayers of Columbus are paying is going somewhere else and financing another city's education system and financing another city's police system. See, we got to understand that when we start really dealing with politics, once again, we go back to the quote from The Godfather. Finance is the gun. Politics is knowing when to pull the trigger. All right, somebody's on here. I think this might be the world famous Jackie. What's up, girl?
I swear there is a severe delay between watching Facebook and trying to chime in on where you're talking at that point. And so I lost my train of thought.
Well, hey, it'll come back, baby. You know what I'm saying? So we still on that Cobbler. We on that Cobbler.
I'm okay.
That no good, dirty, low down Cobbler.
Let me put the headphones down and then from the Facebook thing. Hold on. Let me put that down first. Okay, and I wanted to say that the issue of civil service not living in our community, I think for me, it's even bigger when teachers don't live there because they have to be able to capture the culture that the kids are from in order to be effective in the classroom. You can have all kinds of tricks and, bring new things as far as, educational tools, but that culture piece is really big.
It is the piece. It ain't even big. It is the piece. If you're teaching outside the culture, it is not relevant to the children. We got children that are being educated on what they would call a middle class level. The education we have is at a middle class level, where the whole view of the middle class is different than the view of those that's dealing with poverty. As I stated, I don't know if you got to hear it, but in Ohio, they said 87% of the black students in Ohio are in a sense economic. I can't remember the term. It's not poverty, but like economic emergencies. They're so close to poverty that they might as well be in poverty. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And
yeah, I get you.
You know what I'm saying? So you have individuals that are coming from an environment that does not understand that, does not comprehend that, and then on top of that, believes that people are, because the myth in America is, if you are poor, it is mainly because of your efforts. When all of us know individuals who are in poverty, individuals that are struggling, that work their ass off. We might not want to admit it because that shatters the dream that separates some of us from them. You understand what I'm saying? It's this because if you go to there's a book called Outliers by I can't think of his name. He wrote the book called Outliers. You read that book?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, that's an excellent book. In Outliers, he lays out and slams this whole myth of the rugged individual, which America promotes. You made it because of your work ethic, and you don't have to look back and be grateful to those that came before you and made it possible. Yes, there was a tremendous amount of personal effort, but even with the tremendous amount of personal effort, there was individuals that helped blaze the trail for you, and not only blaze the trail for you, but basically align yourself, especially in our community, for you to stand up and be able to be in the position that you are in. And by us not dealing with that, we are in a sense doing culturally inappropriate things. And we have individuals that's coming into our schools teaching our kids that believe that I am where I am because of my efforts. Not because of the teachers that came before me, the teachers that made it possible, that may have started the charter school, or the teachers that may have made it possible for us to develop charter schools, or the teachers that may have developed a lot of stuff, or even going all the way back to those little two-room shacks that a lot of our ancestors started their education in. So you can't bring nothing relevant. It's like you a cobbler. You come in and you trying to sell everybody this medicine that's supposed to heal them, when in fact it ain't doing nothing but making them sicker. At least that's my opinion. But
right, because then you start trying. I mean, the kids are trying to adapt or adopt something that is foreign to them, an addiction to trying to get the schooling, not the education.
There we go. Thank you. They start getting schooling. But when you're able to make it relevant, that's when it becomes education, because now I can relate to some of my own experiences, and I'm able to pull from a knowledge base where I am confident in, and I can start succeeding at that. And then as an educator, you can start pulling more stuff out of me rather than pouring more stuff in me, so that I can get ready for a standardized test that prepares me, that's supposed to, because like I said, we have standardized tests that don't prepare these children for an unstandardized life. Because when our children leave school, the life that they leave is very unstandardized. I think most people out there will agree with me. You know what I'm saying? Your life is not standardized. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So if I am being prepared to pass a standardized test, how is that assisting me for preparing for my life? Amos Wilson says that an education...
Which brings me...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, which once again brings me back to, what is the core issue with black men and the classroom? It's a place where they can, what is so attractive about this position, in addition to being able to connect with our youth, is the fact that they have almost complete power. Is there a problem with black men and power?
Ooh, Jackie.
Especially when it comes to our young people. I'm saying we need to explore what is the much deeper issue outside of an intellectual standpoint with black men coming into the classroom.
That's an excellent question. Now, for those that didn't hear her clearly, her question is, what is keeping black men from getting involved and developing themselves and becoming teachers within these school systems? Anybody, any comments out there? You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep the conversation moving. Post them up. Because that is a key question that we need to look at. And we need community wisdom in order to solve this problem. Because for all we know, tomorrow, when I get the other hits for people that couldn't make it tonight, our conversation might spark that next black teacher. The individual to say, hell with the administration. I want to be in the trenches. See, and one of the things that's chasing away a lot of teachers, and some of the male teachers that I have run into, is the whole fact that they can't really teach. They have to get into the classroom and start educating these kids immediately about the test. And the test takes you away from really being able to give some of these young people some of the things that they need in order to be able to make it. Because a lot of our kids, they have to, you know what I'm saying, we have to start with the whole cultural piece and get them to understand that education is not something foreign to us. Even schooling is not something foreign to us. This is something that is part of our culture. This is an accepted part of our culture. And to be a teacher is an honorable profession. There is not a lot of honor with being a teacher, especially being a male teacher.
I feel like there's a big problem with, I can't put my finger on it, but I see a lot of black men being raised by women, and then you go to school and there's more women, and where is it that there's a deficiency in how black men feel in terms of leading or being at the lead of their class, the young people. I mean, because I know black men who've never met their fathers or been around their fathers, and there's this deficiency there when it comes to raising their own children. If they don't, if they stay around.
I have a brother by the name of Anubis. Shout out to Anubis Kane. I seen you on the Toast in the Morning, my brother. Thank you for participating in the conversation. He said possibly a sense of fear, as I am currently experiencing a lot of resistance from people that I know have the financial resources to change lives, but they have expressed to me that even my plan is sound. They are worried about failure. See,
right. I agree.
Now we got to understand that part of the education system or part of the schooling system trains us to believe that failure is negative. When in fact, true education and failure go hand in hand. You can't learn nothing without failure. You know what I'm saying? This is the cobbler bringing his limited knowledge in and grading things in a standard that says failure is bad. So when because even some of these black boys, when they go home and they got a C, you know what I'm saying? Some of these young men that leave my school with a C, go home and get the hell, if not the hell beat out of them, at least get emotionally bruised by that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because all of a sudden, they are supposed to go from where they are to an A student immediately. I have parents coming in upset. See, because now this is a whole nother piece too, when we get into, since we on education, another issue I have as well that I'm noticing is that a lot of parents are basing their self-esteem on their children's success. So if a child
and I'm gonna have to break, brother.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna have to break. I want y'all to, I want you to shout out, Release is coming on tonight on our own channel, and my homeboy from Detroit is a consultant producer on that show, Shaka Senghor. And it's coming on. It's right on right now on Oprah's channel. It's about the mass incarceration and these brothers returning to society and what that looks like. And the show is called Release. It's on Oprah's channel. It's on right now at 10 o'clock.
So you saying it's a good show that people need to watch? You saying it's a good show that people need to watch?
Yes, it's about the inmates returning to society and what occurs in that transition. The piece that we don't see and what's important about how we deal with, and it's not just men. They're going to deal with some women, but mostly men who are returning to society after doing 20 years or so. And the brother Shaka Senghor, my boy from Detroit, who is the consultant producer on the show, did 19 years himself. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He did a book that should be read. I can shoot you a picture of that, Righting My Wrongs. It's something that I think is also a part of the black men not coming into the education system as well.
Also,
and with that, I'm going to say peace.
All right, peace. Thank you for joining us, Sister Jackie. Now, check this out, family. Also, with the whole education piece, maybe we might need to tap into some of those individuals coming out of jail. I know some of y'all's like, well, you want felons, and you know what I'm saying? We have to really look at the crimes, and we have to look at some of the situations that individuals are coming back from jail with. And if they are able to get the degrees and stuff, you know what I'm saying, we might need to be willing to open up and give them an opportunity in some of these classrooms. I know that's, some of y'all, that's crazy. But they got the experience that a lot of our children need. Now, going back to this cobbler. Let's give him this cobbler and I'm going to get up out of here. So, now, the cobbler eventually fell sick. For those who just tuned in, we got a cobbler who decided that he was going to be a doctor. He moved to another city. He becomes a professional. He steps into the role of a doctor, but we could say he steps into the role of a teacher. He steps into the role of a politician. He steps into the role of a so-called community leader. And through boasting himself up, he catapults himself into a position of power, catapults himself into a position where he's able to, in a sense, affect people's lives. Now, he falls sick, and he's promoting this antidote that he has that can cure all sicknesses and it's an antidote for all poisons. So when it came time for the governor, now, and I want you to understand the reason that they use the word governor, understand what a governor is. Governor comes from, the root word of governor is pilot, something like that. You know, somebody out there that's better at Latin, you know what I'm saying, but it's about guiding governance. You know what I'm saying? And that goes back to our community. Where is the governance? Where is the pilots of our community? Where are those individuals that came up through our culture and can lead our people in a culturally appropriate way to get what we need? Right? We have cobblers doing it. Hell, turn on YouTube. You got cobblers. Turn on Facebook. You got cobblers all the time that show no dedication. You know what I'm saying? You've been studying for 3 months, you know what I'm saying? And you want to debate the masters. You want to debate people who have dedicated their life. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the whole Peach family. One of the things that we're missing right now in our cultural piece, because the culture is still there, we just don't follow it. A major issue with African culture is mastery. Mastery. What happened to our adoration of masters? You know what I'm saying? Because one of the issues that's missing in a lot of the schooling that's going on is the idea of humbleness. Because in order to be able to learn, you have to be humble and be able to admit what you don't know. So we got kids coming in that know absolutely nothing, that cannot humble themselves to learn from some of the teachers that are trying to connect with them. Because they haven't been taught humbleness. They haven't been raised to be like, yo, a child has a place. Our children coming in thinking that they're equal. And they deal with a lot of the teachers as if they are peers. And some of the teachers, in many senses, coming from their child's, from what that child has experienced in their life, is equivalent to a peer, because you know just as much about their life as you actually you know less about their life than they do. They know more about what's relevant, right? Because I see on Facebook people be clowning teachers and firing teachers when they go and grab some of the lyrics that these kids is listening to every day, start developing a language studies class. All right, let's look at the structure of some of these rhymes. You know what I'm saying? Because, KRS-One would be great, but the kids is not listening to KRS-One. Public Enemy would be great, but the kids are not listening to Public Enemy. Kendrick Lamar. A lot of our kids are listening to Kendrick Lamar, but because of the Kendrick Lamar's lyrics, we can't use it. Even though these kids are listening to it, I'm talking about my kids, are listening to these lyrics so that you can analyze it and we can start using where our children are to get them where we need them to be. But now we got cobblers coming in. We got cobblers running the school. You know what I'm saying? They basically, they got their little degree. You know what I'm saying? They dedicated to being inside of an institution and then come out into the real world. They in a standardized institution, then they come into a real world that's not standardized, and they can't understand why all the theories that they are using is not working. Just like this cobbler. This cobbler, when he got sick and it was time for him to take his own medicine, what'd he do? He said, no, we can look at the public service. When it comes to a lot of our public service, putting their kids in public schools, hell no. They make enough money, private school. A lot of teachers, when it comes to private school, when it comes to teaching them, putting their children inside of the educational institution, they're like, hell no. Put my child in a private school. This lets you know that an individual does not have skin in the game. If I am healing, like I said, one of the goals of Gye-Nyame is to help get rid of all of the ailments that have to do with the gut, because I'm using this stuff called that ambrosia. I came up with an ancient, I ain't even come up with it. I discovered this drink that is said to have these properties, and not only do I promote it to the people that's with me, I'm drinking it with them on a daily basis. I've not been sick, except when I was fasting. And I broke my fast wrong. God damn. You know what I'm saying? I'm able to do the podcast and get back and do the podcast. I have energy. You know what I'm saying? I still fall asleep and shit like that. But, I'm making it. Right? And the piece is, in order for us to not be like this cobbler, we got to be willing to take our own medicine. I can't be promoting a lifestyle and not be willing to live it and be willing to die for it. See, living it is important. But you measure somebody's faith in what they're talking about by their willingness to die for it. See, because in many cases, it's easy to pretend, because some people that we think is living it, they're actually pretending. It's easy to act all the way up until the scene gets serious. When it's a life and death issue. See, this is why initiation with anything that we do is important. Because in our culture, initiation into manhood, initiation into womanhood, initiation into warriorship, initiation to nation builder state, initiation to an elder state is important. Being able to do culturally appropriate things properly and the way that your ancestors did. And if you find a better way, to be able to take that knowledge and pass it on to the next generation. But if we cobblers, we're not doing that. See, because many of us, we want to jump off and move to the future right away, rather than looking and doing as one of our Indinkra symbols say, go back and fetch it. That's Sankofa for those that don't know. Going back, looking at what the ancestors did. Exploring a little bit of what they did, spending some time with the ancestors, with their writings, spending some time with the ancestors, with their wise sayings, and then being able to turn around and apply it and pull something new out of it that will get us out of this situation. Many of us are satisfied being like this cobbler. This cobbler possibly could have did some great things, but he didn't spend the time. He didn't pour those 3 libations that we talk about. That blood, sweat, and tears. Those are the 3 libations. Many of us are satisfied with pouring water. But the true libation, see, that's a symbolic libation. The real thing comes from us pouring blood, sweat, and tears. You accomplish nothing without blood, sweat, and tears. Those of you that are studying understand what I'm talking about. Those of you that are in the struggle understand what I'm talking about. Those of you that are cobblers, you don't. Those of you that's just coming in and you got this much, when in fact it's more than all. You got an infinite amount of learning. You're stuck. I mean, you 27, 37, 49 like myself, and you think you got it all? Family, I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly looking up new shit. I'm constantly learning new shit from these folktales. I'm a constant learner, and we have to be the same way because that's culturally appropriate. It's not that our elders are telling us sometimes that they know more than us. What they're telling us a lot of times is that they have more wisdom than us. And if you want to really see what your leaders or what your elders or what your nation builders or what your warriors really are, look at what they do. Are they taking their own medicine? Do they have skin in the game? If they're building in the community, are their children involved with what they're building? If their children are not involved, they don't have no goddamn skin in the game, family. We have generations of elders who have been active in the community that none of us have met their families. And I know I'm not alone in that. Many of us have not met their children. Know their children. You've been struggling for years with this individual. You've been working with this, but you don't know their children. That's not a tribe. Yo, this is Brother Hatim. It's 14 minutes. I'm 14 minutes over. I want to thank everybody that stopped in. I want to send some shots out to, of course, Sister Jackie for calling in. Brother Anubis. Brother Shaka called in for a second and then hung up on me. I don't know what's up with that. Let me see. It's a delay, so I can't go up. My brother Ernie stopped in. Let's see. Come on. Abu Shahid. Shouts out. Let's see who else. Well, shouts out to all of y'all. Whether you on here live or not, I want to thank you for joining us in this important conversation. One of them, you know what I'm saying? Sorry, you only got, you know what I'm saying? Only got an hour. I try to do it up on an hour. Shouts out to Nicole Pittman for stepping into the room for a second. But we are out. Thank you.
Alexis or justice, or dream or some substance. 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 Alexis or justice.
I forgot to let y'all know you are now listening to Gye-Nyame Journey Radio. The show you listen to right now is called Folktales for Grown Folks, where we do the show every Coogee Chagalia. For those that don't know what that means, you need to get in the tribe and learn the language. Of course, you know this is a Heart of Symbol production. Shouts out to all my Symbol family. When we strive to blow up those old paradigms.
A dream or some substance, a beamer or necklace or sweetheart. Alexis or justice, a dream or some substance, a beamer or necklace or sweetheart.
See y'all tomorrow for the show.